Hello and thanks for watching. Um, I've been going backwards, so this is my last video entry for the day here, and I'm going to be going over an overview of what a day might look like, and I was trying to keep in mind or the context for this is this would be a weekend during the school year, just using the groceries that I had in my house and the meals that I would make out of that. So I have been eating a lot of eggs this year, so a breakfast might be over the whole morning. I would have maybe 2 English muffins that have 2 eggs that were just cooked in the microwave with buttered English muffins and then topped with a bunch of salsa. For lunch, I would have a salad, and most often what would be around is romaine, where you could get in the big packs, and arugula with just a store-bought dressing, like a sweet onion dressing, and then I was often making pizzas, so just because it's so quick to make a whole bunch of sauce to go on top of a pizza and have it throughout the year, or throughout the week rather. So I liked cooking down cubed butternut squash and then turning it into a base for a naan pizza. So that would be like two small naans topped with butternut squash topping, and then just red onions and peppers. Red onions, red peppers, and maybe kale on top of that, and then just topped with nutritional yeast. So calorie-wise, is totally insufficient for a day. Rather than going over, I was at 2,500 for my ideal calorie intake for my size, and it doesn't even go to half that. And interestingly enough, on the fitness tracker website, when you are low and you lock in for your day the amount of calories, if it's low, it'll say this is not a viable diet for weight loss, and that not getting enough calories to start off isn't going to be a healthy way of losing weight. And in the meantime, I wasn't looking to lose weight. The weekends were more of a purge of food because of the amount of food and butter and protein we were eating throughout the week, that usually simpler felt better for my body during the weekend. But that being said, there are a lot of things that make this nutrient stripped kind of diet relatively nutrient stripped. And so in overview, less than half the calories I need, and so what I did add is I went back to like my earliest first term kind of behavior to just get the calories up enough that I would lock it in. And so I was just because I didn't know, I added the calories for what it'd be to have 5 cans of beer, which wouldn't be a normal night, but I kind of medianed it out to 5 beers, and in total it's 720 calories for that. And meanwhile is totally nutritionally stripped. It's just carbs. So interesting to look at that in terms of just the excess of calories. Whether we'd be having a full day at the school, where anytime you'd go into school for a cookery class, you'd walk out with probably more than a day's worth of calories or something close to that, because of the amount of protein and how much extra butter is required basically when we're preparing some of these meals like French cuisine and such. And to have go out with friends or whatnot and have beers to finish off your day is just additional calories. So kind of making sense with the beer gut idea. If this were to go on for years and years, obviously you would get a surplus of calories, but totally nutritionally stripped, that it's not providing you anything. In terms of carbs, the high carbs meal items were the English muffins and the naan, and then if you're counting the beers, totally the beer, as well as butternut squash being a fairly carbohydrated concentrated. I have 3/4 of a cup coming into 27 grams, and fat is coming from the eggs, butter, if you're buttering your English muffin, as well as sauteed peppers. And then just going along here, it's actually not sodium high, and a lot of that is determined by like the dressing that I use. So sweet onion dressing I know is one that I just got at Little Green Grocer, and I managed to track it down, the brand, to put it in here. And if that was swapped out for a different, maybe more highly processed dressing, I can totally see it happening, that that would be totally full of sodium and could maybe even send you over the edge, when in reality a lot of these consumers are thinking that they're having a salad, so that by nature is going to be healthy. Also, like, I get romaine lettuce, and I really like kale, but just in terms of being able to get a big pack, I'll go through those big packs, so it ended up being more just economically and convenience-wise worth it to get just romaine, but going across, it's totally nutritionally stripped as well. And if you were to swap out for a darker green like collard greens or kale, there would be more fiber, iron, magnesium, potassium, calcium, and as opposed to being a filler for a meal, you'd actually get good sustenance off of this, which is something I think people forget about. While the eggs are high in fat and kind of thought as a danger food, it's clocking in 2 eggs as 372 milligrams of cholesterol, which totally is a lot. And if you were going to double that even, this is where we'd be seeing health concerns, because cholesterol is a huge issue. But meanwhile, eggs do provide just protein, like a concentrated protein with vitamin B12 and selenium, vitamin D, vitamin B6 and B12, as well as zinc, iron, and copper. Copper being one of the ones mentioned in class as a nutrient that's pretty hard to find naturally. So this would be getting that nutrient along with iron and zinc without having to have red meat. So this is a good alternative when you're thinking about a pescatarian diet versus a regular carnivore diet, omnivore diet. It's choosing not to go with red meat, and you're still getting zinc, iron, and copper. And then butternut squash, which would be the base for the pizza, I would probably go through 2 naans. If I was doing homework over a night, I would probably go through 2 of these naan pucks there, and with the butternut squash sauce on top, that's really easy to make. And you can add lots of like rosemary and thyme and such, and garlic, just simple flavorings that it will be delicious. It has vitamin E, thiamine, niacin, vitamin B6, folate, and manganese, as well as if I up the amount of butternut squash to 1 cup, it would have more potassium than a banana, which is kind of known as the biggest provider of potassium, or easy provider of potassium. So those are also kind of unique vitamins when you're looking at manganese and niacin, thiamine, and it's because of this bright orange. It's really easy, when instead of getting a store-bought tomato sauce, which will have all these preservatives and such in it. Choosing butternut squash, which will last forever and has a huge shelf life, also has that rich orange color, which is going to make a huge difference in terms of adding vitamins to what is basically a pretty nutritionally stripped meal of English muffins with salsa and eggs, salad, and these little pizzas. So the most interesting thing for me was clocking in the beers and how quickly that adds carbs to the day and these empty calories. And it's kind of the thing that you know about, but it takes actually clocking it in to see how much it boosts to your day, to really see the nutritional consequences of doing that. And that's about all I want to say, and just thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your vacation.